If you are like me, a weekend warrior, kind of person that likes to get into the shop on the weekends and work on projects and build things, and while I may not be a professional, I don't do this every day, I still want my projects to turn out good. I want to build a quality product. I want my projects to turn out cool. So therefore, I am a huge fan of tools, quality tools, the kind of tools that are going to get the job done, that are reliable, but I still want them to be affordable, which is something that's hard to find. Quality and affordable are usually not something that go well together, but over the last couple of years, I've had the opportunity to use quite a few products from Yes Welder. Everything from their welding machines to their plasma cutters, and even some of their accessories, welding hoods and consumable products. And I have really grown to love their products because they are affordable and quality. So when I got the opportunity to try out the all new and improved Cut 65 plasma cutter, I jumped all over it. Hello and welcome to Moneybeards 4x4. I am Robbie and today we are in the shop trying out the all new and improved Cut 65 plasma cutter from Yes Welder. Now I have owned the previous model of the Cut 65 from Yes Welder for about 2 years now, and I have really learned to appreciate the usefulness of a plasma cutter in my shop. This machine has been an incredible machine for me. It's been super reliable. It gets the job done. Every time I dust it off the shelf, it turns on and does what it's supposed to do. Made me a much better fabricator in my shop, just giving me the versatility of owning a plasma cutter. And again, I've really enjoyed this machine. It does not blow through consumables, and it just plain does the job. And so when I got the opportunity to try out the all-new improved version, I had to check it out. Now, probably one of the most clear differences and changes to the new model is the styling. And I am not knocking the sort of quintessential old school pastel green and blue colors of Yes Welder, but this new black design with the red trim is just a little bit more modern, a little bit more sleek, and a little bit more professional. And I just think that the entire machine just looks a lot cooler. Now, clearly, styling alone should not be the reason why you buy a tool, and it is also not the only update they have made to the Cut 65. And I think probably one of the best improvements is the simplification and improvement of the setting up of this machine and getting it right out of the box and operational. Now, on the previous model's Cut 65, there was some assembly required. You had to set up and install the regulator and the water filter and the air pressure gauge, and it did open it up to a little bit of that potential of user error or leakage. But the new model from Yes Welder, the regulator and filter comes pre-installed, negating any possibility of any sort of installation error and leakage with this machine. Now, on top of that, the regulator on the old machine is also sort of big and bulky, and it's right out there in the open and just has that potential of even just when you're transporting around the shop that you could hit it and smack it on things, and it's just sort of out there, leaving for a potential for damage. This new model with the regulator integrated into the machine, it is actually protected by the aluminum casing, making sure that you cannot hit this thing and significantly decreasing the chances of having any sort of failure with that regulator and filter setup. Now, another one of the big improvements that they have made has to do with the digital display. Now, once again, the styling of this new machine's digital display is just a lot more modernized. It just looks better, and it's, in my opinion, a lot more user-friendly. They have now moved the pressure gauge to digital instead of having that honking gauge mounted on the regulator on the back of the machine like the old model. And they've also updated and made simpler the operation. And they've also added some personalization to the digital display. I can adjust the pressure units between MPa and PSI. I can even set and change my post-flow time for those of you that are a little bit more veteran users of plasma cutters. All of this has just really made this a lot more effortless and easy and convenient operation with a simplified digital display. So as far as the power and performance of these machines, they are identical. It's a 65 amp machine. It's the non-high frequency, non-touch pilot arc plasma cutter that has the ability to run both 220 and 110. At 220, this thing has the power to do a clean cut of rated up to 5/8 material, and then a severance cut at basically 1 inch. I think 63/64 is the claim. Now, I have cut some pretty thick materials with the old machine, and this thing does really well and seems to perform as advertised, and so I can't wait to see what this one will do. And because this is a review video, what good would it be if I don't put this thing to use? So I think I'm gonna get it hooked up, get my leads all attached and everything, and see if I can't put this thing to work on a couple projects that I'm currently working on. Setting up this machine is actually very simple. So we just have a couple cables, our torch and our ground. For the ground, it simply just slides into this fitting here, and we can twist it into place to lock it in. Now for our torch, we have a few leads here. Your main torch lead just simply threads into here. This is your actual like pilot arc, I believe. That threads in, and we just slide it over the tab here, sandwich it between these two washers, and then this final connection here just simply slides in and bolts into place. So really simple design there to get the cables all hooked up. Now for the air or the gas line install, once again, this new design with the integrated regulator and filter was designed to make this a very simple process. And the machine comes with a roll of this, just clear plastic gas tube. And the idea here is that it just simply, in this push fitting, we just push it in here and it just snaps into place. And I mean, that is in there. Easy install. Now the other side, of course, would then need to be hooked up to your external compressor. Now, you could get some sort of adapter, or if you have a press fitting style, I guess, something that goes into your compressor, but I don't. I, like probably a lot of you, like to use sort of like the standard quick disconnects, the barb fittings here. And so in order to make this easy for me to do quick disconnect for my compressor, I'm going to go ahead and unthread this push connector that comes with the regulator, and then I'm just going to simply thread this in, making sure we have a good amount of some tape on here. I'm going to need to put some new tape on here to seal this up, and then I should be able to hook up my compressor as well. But again, just a reminder, this does come with the idea to prevent any sort of leaking problems, and so this setup from stock can work, but I, again, want to convert to this style for my compressor. But you can just remove this and simply thread in one of these, brass quick connects fixtures or fittings if you want. Now, one of the projects that I am working on right now is completing this Dana 60 front axle that is part of a swap that I'm doing into the Jeep in there. And so I am just trying to button up the last few things here with the steering system, and I'm trying to figure out my ram assist. So I think I know where I'm going to put my little hydraulic ram here, and I'm going to bolt it to this track bar bracket. And it seems everything's going to fit there and everything's going to clear, and so this is what I want to do. But that means I'm going to put a lot of stress now on this track bar bracket, because the track bar will mount on this top hole, and then the bottom hole is where I'll have my ram. And so I want to just beef up this bracket a little bit because of all that stress it's going to have. And so just with some cardboard-aided design here, I sort of figured out a basic design that I want to do. Just sort of make a piece like this that will go from the bracket to the truss, and then I just need to put a top on it like this. Well, of course we all fell apart. So it'll fit like this, essentially just boxing it all in, and we'll make this, significantly stronger here, having this all boxed in. So what I need to do is, of course, take these two pieces and cut them out of steel. So I think I'll try out the plasma cutter. So I have my couple pieces here marked out. This is a piece of 1/4 inch thick plate, and that's about as heavy duty as I go in my shop doing automotive fabrication. And I think this is going to be a good test for this machine on this 1/4 inch plate. So I'm going to run it on 220. I am going to turn it all the way up to 65 amp. And we're going to go ahead and try to cut out these two pieces and see how this plasma cutter does. Pieces cut out here. Here is the chunk of 1/4 inch, so pretty straight cut here, honestly, for 1/4 inch. I mean, we'll have to clean it up a little bit with a grinder, but nice and straight. A little bit of slag on the back side. Again, most of that just knocks right off with a hammer, but that's pretty good. Clean, fast, easy cut on 1/4 inch. Now our little triangle piece here, I did try to cut some of it by hand, not running like a guide. With the piece of angle iron. I got a little bit more slag on it, but again, this side, pretty simple, smooth cut. Okay, here's the cutting surface here. So I may need to try out some other sizes, but I want to get these things cleaned up and get that prepped and see if we can now weld these pieces together and we can, I don't know, complete a first project with our new Cut 65 plasma cutter. Well, check it out. We got our gusset all fully completed and boxed in here, and we cut our pieces out with the plasma cutter, and they had pretty good fitment here, and then we welded it up with our Yes Welder. And other than a little bit of porosity I had right here in the corner, I had to grind down and re-weld. I mean, this looks pretty good, and another project made nice and easy using my Yes Welder tools. So with our first project already complete, we essentially were able to just pull this thing right out of the box, plug in our compressor, hook up our leads, and just start cutting metal. And I think that goes to show you how easy it is to get this thing started and to set up. It really is user-friendly. And I think I can do a lot in my shop with this new Cut 65. But before, we kind of put a bow on this, it wouldn't be a good review video if I didn't do some more cuts, show you how they turn out, and really just kind of find out what the capabilities are on this thing. So I actually have this thing hooked up on 110. So I did want to try it on that because I realized that some people, that's what they have in their shop is 110. And so I have 3 different sizes of metal plate here that I'm going to try out on 110. So we have our 1/4 inch already. So I already made some cuts on here with the 220. But I want to see what I can do. Can this thing cut a 1/4 inch piece of plate on 110? So we're going to find out. I have this. This is 1/8 inch. I don't want to waste a bunch of material, but I'm going to see if I can put a couple cuts in this to see how that turns out, because on 110, that's probably a really reasonable size that people might be working with. And then I have this. It's just a scrap piece, but we should still be able to test it out. This is sheet metal, and I believe this is 20 gauge. It's not super thin. It's not like pop can metal here or anything. But again, I'd like to see how it does cutting that. And so let's go ahead and test this thing out on 110 and see how the cuts turn out. So here's the results on a 1/4 inch. Now obviously we did have to make multiple passes, but this second time I adjusted the gas pressure, which on this machine is really easy to do. We just simply pop up this dial on this integrated regulator, and then we can turn it up and down and then lock it into place. And I turned up that to PSI, and it seemed to work a lot better and cut right through this 1/4 inch. Again, 110, 45 amps, that's pretty impressive. So I'm gonna go ahead and try out some of these other sizes on 110 to see how it compares. Results on our 1/8 inch plate and on our 20 gauge sheet metal here on 110, 45 amps is a lot more impressive. In fact, this, I mean, other than the fact that I didn't use a straight edge, so my cut is a little crooked, but I mean, this is virtually perfect. I didn't even clean any of the slag off. It is a very nice, clean, easy cut. With the 1/8 inch, we have a little bit of slag at the bottom. I mean, but it cut right through, super straight line. I mean, very, very smooth, and so certainly within its capabilities to cut 1/8 inch, no problem, even on 110. And so, you know, sheet metal work and stuff on 110, I think this thing is going to be a good machine. So I want to hook it back up to 220. Let's turn the amps back up. I want to play around with some thicker materials a little bit more just to show you the capabilities of this machine. Maybe even try to cut out some shapes or something. I don't know. We'll try out that a little bit, and then we'll come back with some results and some final thoughts. We'll check out the results of a couple more cuts that we made. So this is admittedly an ugly circle, but I think that says more about my freehand abilities than it does about the plasma cutter, because despite it being super crooked, I mean, this thing just goes through like butter. And this is only 1/8 inch, but man, that's a super clean cut. Now I did play around with some 1/4 inch a little bit more, and notice how clean. I mean, this is really clean, and there's like no slag. I mean, I ended up turning up the PSI a little bit on the machine, and I'll show you how easy that is. I turned it up a little bit from like the previous cuts I made earlier in the video and went through it, and man, it made quite a difference. And this thing cuts through 1/4 inch like butter. So that about wraps up this video. This thing has proven to make some nice quality and consistent cuts on both the 110 and 220 power settings. And if this thing can prove to be as reliable as other Yes Welder products have been in the past for me, then I think this is a good buy. I went and checked out the website today, and right now they have a 15% off sale in the month of March here in 2024, and you can currently get this, the Cut 65 DS, for $271. that is a heck of a buy for a high-powered 65 amp. It's small, portable plasma cutter. You know, the subtle upgrades that they made to this with the digital screen and the built-in regulator and just the ease of operation, I really do think this is a new and improved product at a very affordable price. So if you want to pick one of these up, check out the link down below to Yes Welder. Go check out some of their other products as well. And if you use our coupon code MuddyBeards at checkout, you can actually save an additional 10%. So if you like the video, leave a thumbs up and subscribe. And until next time, we will see you back in the shop.